Welcome back to the weekly recap show for Trailblazer Athletics inside the Amsler Campus Center here at MCLA. I'm Dan Wohler with Assistant Athletic Director Jeff Polari. Jeff, how are you?
Good, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well, Jeff. We'll begin the show with women's basketball. So the first game we'll go over is a loss to Curry after Thanksgiving.
Anytime you come back from Thanksgiving break, tough to get the legs back underneath your team, so to speak. And MCLA came back on Saturday to face a very young, talented Curry team, a team they've played the last couple of years, and Curry's got the best of them. And Curry ultimately pulled away with a big fourth quarter to really distance themselves. MCLA struggled down the stretch in that game and really kind of let one slide and get away from them a little bit at home.
Sure, and some key players in that game off the bench, sophomore Karina Matera really getting in some good minutes.
You know, and again, there's a coaching change this year, and Karina's role is kind of yet to be defined, but it was nice to see her, a player that started the majority of the games at the end of last year, her freshman season, kind of step forward and really carried the offense, so to speak. She had 14 points in that game against Curry. Nice to see her get some action, and it led to a start the next time out as well.
And Courtney McLaughlin, one of the seniors on the team, again in double digits.
Courtney's been great so far. She's added a big scoring punch. She's led the team in 4 out of 6 games scoring. She's shooting the ball pretty well from beyond the arc, which is a great thing for her to see. Typically she was one that would get to the basket a little bit, but now she's getting to the basket. She's dishing the ball off a little bit, and she's really doing some nice work. You can see here getting a nice skip pass from Kayla Hoteling and knocking down a three-pointer early in the game against LaSalle.
Yeah, she leads the team in three-pointers, and back to that game against LaSalle on Monday, Trailblazers came out with the win.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of a flip of the switch from the Saturday game with Curry, where they struggled down the stretch. In this particular performance against LaSalle, they really pulled away down the stretch. Close game at halftime. MCLA was actually down 19-11, came back to take a 23-21 halftime lead, and ultimately pulled away, holding the Lasers to just 14 points in the second half, only 3 over the final 11 minutes of play, which is obviously going to lead to a lot of W's in those situations.
Sure, and McLaughlin again had a big game, but another senior, Kayla Hoteling, had another big game, double-double.
Again, similar to what I was saying about Karina, Kayla's kind of taken a while to grab hold and get her footing, and she's really stepped forward in this game against LaSalle. Got to the basket quite a bit, finished with a double-double. You can see her here finishing off a nice pass from Matera. She's done just such a great job, starting to kind of get her legs underneath her a little bit and starting to produce some double-digit games, which is what we were hoping to see out of her early on.
And junior Emily Moulton had a career high in that game.
You know, Emily's really stepped up her game, and she's really performed better of late. She shot the ball exceptionally well, played well in the game against Curry, played well in the game against LaSalle. Nice pass here, nice finish on the left block. She's been a nice spark, averaging close to double figures in her last 3 outings.
Yeah, she's been able to get open underneath, which is huge. And the Trailblazers had another loss to Utica on Wednesday.
Yeah, tough part of the schedule. And like I said, they're coming back from Thanksgiving break. They play on Saturday. They play on Monday. Both of those games were at home, and then obviously they got to get in a bus and travel to Utica. And similar to the way the other games have came, it came down to late in the game, second half, and Utica pulled away in the fourth quarter especially. They owned a commanding edge off the glass in that game, and MCLA just looked like a real tired bunch in that game. Sure. Not to make excuses, but they just didn't play their best down the stretch when they needed the most.
Yeah, they were off to a slow start, scored 25 points in the beginning, but senior Kayla Hoteling was the strong force in that game with 15 points.
Yeah, and again, you know, we come to expect a lot of great things from Kayla. It wasn't one of her best games by any stretch, but she did lead MCLA in scoring. She'll need to do a little bit better job off the glass, but overall, another nice performance out of her. And as I said, it's nice to see her kind of get heated up as they get into the meat of their season.
Right, and the Trailblazers on the road on Thursday at Simmons. They've yet to win a game on the road.
Yeah, it's something that they're going to have to work on, and you know, they only had 2 true road games at this point. They've had a very home-heavy opening part of the schedule. It'd be nice to see them get on the road. Long road trip to Simmons, a team they handled quite easily last year, but every game has kind of been nip and tuck so far this year. A couple of road defeats. They lost to Cobleskill earlier this season, and then on the road to Utica. So hopefully they can kind of get off the schneid a little bit with a win at Simmons this week.
And then Saturday, a home game against Union College.
Saturday Saturday's the last home game before the turn of the semester against Union. A great opponent. They've been playing Union for the last few years. The Dutch women have had a pretty good success rate against the Trailblazers, so it'll be a great challenge to kind of see where they are at this point in the season, and it'll also prep them, as a reminder, they're heading to Daytona Beach in another week and a half to play 2 tough games down there, so it'll be a great way for them to wrap up the first semester home slate.
Right, and on to the men's basketball side, they lost a game to Sage College's. It was a high-scoring game. They lost, or they gave up 130 points.
Yeah, it was one of those games where neither side played particularly very good defense. Sage plays a very up-tempo, full-court press style attack, and while certainly we weren't having much trouble putting the ball in the basket, we were having an awful lot of trouble keeping Sage off the scoreboard as well, and we gave up 71 points, I think, in the first half. Sage shot a remarkable 70% from the floor in the first half. A lot of just getting to the basket, real close looks. They did shoot the ball particularly well from 3, Sage did, so all in all, just kind of one of those games you kind of hope to just wrap up and throw away in the trash. They're going to have to play much better defensively to remain competitive.
And on the Trailblazer side, some key players in that game, Joe Wiggins and Keelan Cross, combining for 26 points.
Yeah, it was kind of the style of play that I think both of those players would enjoy. Up and down the floor, they're both pretty good finishers. They both can attack the rim a little bit. So they've combined for 46 points. Wiggins went for 26, and Cross went for 20. Like I said, so it's just one of those games up and down the floor that you could see some points out of the Trailblazers.
And the Trailblazers had their home opener against a very tough Wesleyan University. They were 5-0. Trailblazers were 0-5 for that game.
Yeah, and Wesleyan actually, they're now 6-0. They defeated crosstown foe Williams College later this week as well. They're 6-0, very talented team, very deep team, very long, athletic. As we all know, MCLA is a little bit challenged physically at this point, and they hurt us in a lot of different areas. MCLA played them tight for the first half of the ball game, so to speak, and then the overall size and depth of the Cardinals just outweighed MCLA, and ultimately they pulled away to a very convincing win.
And speaking of size, for the Trailblazers, they've got Joe Murray, and he had a great game. He had a double-double in that game.
Joe Murray's been tremendous the last couple of games for MCLA. You can see him finishing off a nice reverse lay-in here. He had a double-double against Wesleyan, which is arguably the top opponent that we've played to date, and he was really one of the best big men on the floor. Had to post a second straight double-double. Also had one against Sage. So it's great to see him in his first year in a Trailblazer uniform, really kind of trying to shoulder the load of trying to rebound every opportunity he can and trying to get some putbacks.
Yeah, and Keelan Cross, another player, first year in a Trailblazer uniform, also had a great offensive effort. Yeah,
like I said, Keelan played very well in the Sage game. Was challenged a little bit in Wesleyan again. Some bigger defenders guarding him. They could kind of match his athleticism, but he was rewarded. He was named the MASCAC Rookie of the Week for the second time this semester, just announced a few hours ago. Mainly, I'm sure, out of the performance from Sage, but Keelan's got a lot of bright spots and an otherwise downward start to the Trailblazer season, so it's nice to see him putting some baskets in for us and keeping us in some ball games.
Yeah, certainly we'll look ahead to his performance and also to the Trailblazers playing nationally ranked WPI.
Yeah, they, the anytime, any place, anywhere type of scheduling is continuing for the MCLA men's basketball team. They'll be on the road at WPI. WPI, always one of the tough top in-region opponents. Played them the last couple of years. Haven't had a chance to defeat them yet. That'll be a very difficult matchup, very similar to some of the other schools we played. Very long, very athletic. They will shoot the ball fairly well. A little bit of a change. They're a very defensive-minded team as well. So half-court sets, I would expect a little bit of a lower scoring game as compared to what you may have seen with Sage earlier this year.
And again, looking ahead, MCLA will host a tri-state shootout this weekend with Vermont and New York schools present.
Yeah, every year the tri-state shootout kind of rotates, and the 3 host institutions are us, Southern Vermont, and Rensselaer RPI. This year they've invited the Fisher College Falcons to come in. Fisher's a team that some of our fans may recognize. We've played them the last couple of seasons as well. Should be a great atmosphere. Should be some really competitive basketball. MCLA will open up with RPI, who's off to a nice start at 5-2 on Friday at 6 p.m. The second game that night will feature Southern Vermont and Fisher, 2 very athletic ball clubs going at each other toe-to-toe. The 2 losers of those games will play on Saturday at 2 p.m. in the consolation game, and the championship round will follow at 4 p.m. in a true tournament style fashion. So should be a great great environment, good opportunity for some of the community and local fans to see some other programs come into the Amsler Campus Center.
Yeah, it should be a great time, and Trailblazer fans, stay with us for this weekend for that Tri-State Shootout. And remember, for all things Trailblazer athletics, follow all of our social media pages on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for watching.